Hey,
So far,
I met someone that knew you. Yeah. And he recognized my name when I said, wait a minute. You're up in Monte County. I- Well, you know what? I wish I wrote his name down, but hey, I already had about 4 or 5
beverages.
bourbon slushies. Never had one of them, but there was 240 Aggies up there. It's my great niece. She graduated from A&M last Saturday and got married this Saturday. She did, yeah. Well, yeah, all of them got dumped their rings. I guarantee you. But anyway, I was standing there talking to him behind the bar, and I introduced myself to him, and and he says, where you from? I said, from Barksdale. He says, oh yeah, I got Bobby and Lance, and I said, really? And he just ran for the city council in Prosper. No, Ponder. In Ponder.
Nick McGregor.
What's his name?
Nick McGregor.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. So we had a great conversation, and I think he was just there for show. And I'll tell you what, all the Yankees that was up there.
What the heck he was doing there?
Well, he was. I guess he was supposed to be checking IDs. I guess. Yeah, well, yeah.
He's an investigator for Cook County. She's
Yeah.
really super.
Okay.
Optimistic.
Yeah, he's a neat guy though. I talked to him probably.
Also, over the Northwest.
Okay, yeah, because he said that you know, Bobby, we've been trying to run him off. He's all, you're not going to get rid of him. I said, well, that's a good thing. But yeah,
Yep, good guy.
yeah, he was. I really enjoyed the conversation.
She said, hey, I know this is this time.
But
We've had all the hard talk.
this wedding venue was up in Collinsville, and and this was a second wedding, from what I understand, at this facility. They just built it up there. And the people that own that property that has the wedding venue were Aggies. And that's how she got to know them.
Welcome.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, absolutely. I was sitting there cranking through email and working on the next report for the CIO, and she calls and I'm going,
Where's today?
it's Tuesday. So anyway, yeah, I screwed up. Okay. Did we start this meeting?
Closer.
Oh, outstanding. Well, time being 6:41, call the special meeting to order. Okay. Perfect. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Public participation, do we have anybody that's on?
No, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, regular items, consider approval of an ordinance to find that the settlement agreement between the town and CoServe Gas is reasonable, ordering CoServe Gas Limited to implement the rates agreed to in the settlement agreement, requiring reimbursement of town's rate case expenses, finding that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law, requiring notice of the ordinance to the town and town's legal counsel, and approving an effective date.
I can give a quick summary. So this ordinance is because there was a rate case. CoServe had filed I guess, an item to increase their base rate by almost 12%, 11.8%, and this was in November of 2020. In December of 2020, our council passed a resolution to extend the effective date to give us more time to assess their request for increasing the base rate. And so that gave us an extension until June 12th. So from then until now, we were part of a collective group of CoServe gas cities, and essentially we had one legal representation. Ed Voss was still kind of our intermediary. We had one legal representation that represented all cities under the CoServe jurisdiction. And so there was a settlement that was agreed upon that was lower than what CoServe was requesting, but what it does provide is the increases, instead of 11.5 million, it's down to 6.25 million. Instead of 9.5% return on, or no, 9.5% return on equity rather than 11.5% return on equity. And customer charges are $15 compared to the original request of $18.50. So there was some adjustments that we're able to reach in the settlement. So by passing this ordinance, town council is agreeing to the settlement agreement that is in place. And that's the reason for the special meeting, is that we had to get this in place before June 12th, which was before our next town council meeting.
So out of curiosity, how many people use CoServe Gas?
I don't know off the top of my head. I can provide that.
Again, it was curiosity. Do you have any discussion? Do you have a motion? Second. All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you, council. Time being 6:44, we adjourn this special meeting. Time being 6:44, call this work session to order. Discussion regarding fiscal year 2021-2022 budget to receive goals and budget preparation.
So since we were having to have a special meeting to, give us also an opportunity to talk before the first budget draft is presented, we just thought to include an item if there's anything that town council would like to direct us to include in the first budget draft, or if there's any goals that you all would like to discuss. Obviously keeping the property tax, maintaining that to be, not changed. Streets, has always been an important part. So if there's anything else that council would like to direct us to look into before presenting the first budget draft.
So is there anything that you guys are looking at that's outside of doing some very small increases to certain things? Go way out of bounds from your list?
I don't have that information with me. I do hope to present that for the budget draft. There are a couple of items that are additions to the budget that we would like to present for your consideration. Some for administrative support, others for technical support with the server, others for police department support. I don't have a comprehensive list yet, but there will be a few items.
Okay, are you ready to discuss any of that right now?
I would prefer to wait until I have some numbers. I can give you more information if you're
I
interested.
love what these things are.
Sure. So for administrative, I know that there was a need for a server.
Well,
If you'd like to
and that's
give
not
that.
adding something, so we have we have budget in our replacement. We were notified that we are almost out of server space. So our IT department's looking at that and they're getting us information. So we don't even have anything to give you. So we're waiting for all of that information to come forward with what we have. We have gone from, and we're still working on getting everything that we had in paper to digital. So that's taken up a lot of space in both administration and police department. So that's taken up a lot of storage room. They were out during what we call Snowmageddon, looking at a lot of things. The IT owner was out the other day and said, you're running out of space. So like, get us the information, get us what we need so we can look at it and bring that information forward. So that's something that
And
this
we
is
don't,
something-
you don't have a quote for that item yet.
So is all of that on-site server? Is it an on-site server?
yes.
Okay. Backed up someplace?
Oh, yes, we backed that up and that was something that we went over and had all that information with former council member Trailer with his technical background that it gets backed up every day. I don't have the technical answers that you need at the moment, but we do have that information.
Good question. One is, do we have pretty firm data retention policy that we clear things out after they're aged to a certain level?
We've adopted the state's records program so that we have, and that's something when we go over your new council orientation, there are certain records that are permanent. There's certain things for finance records that we have to keep fiscal year end plus 5 years, certain documents fiscal year end plus
My
1
point is,
year.
you're not keeping anything that you don't need.
Exactly.
Right.
So, and that includes if it's paper or if it's on server. So when we started doing our digital, we kind of worked with what we have now and moved forward instead of we're not backdating stuff that I have to get rid of 2 years from now. No, why would we scan that in? So we still have boxes that we have in our storage area that we'll implement. And then there's other documents that are permanent. So
Second question, well, and I don't know, I'm just asking this, but if we ever looked at going on the cloud for our data storage?
So
If there's
part of our
reasons.
backup system is with our IT company, is some of that is backed up on the cloud and those types of, I can't tell you where it all is right now off the top of my head.
Looked at
How
that
that
instead
whole
of
backup
having our own
is.
server to go all cloud-based?
I can get you those answers.
It was just a thought. I mean, I know it's something we went through in my work, and we moved. It's a pretty big company. We're doing it right now. Moved to the cloud just saved a lot of money. It's easier to expand and grow.
And there's some things with police records and some of the
Right,
things that we
right.
have by statute and things that we have to adopt. So it will definitely be glad to look into and
We
see
can work
what we
with our
can find.
IT department and maybe come up with some options.
So a lot of times the cloud cost up front, but if you look at it and project it out over a few years, there could be savings.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You're not going to see any significant savings, but that was going to be my same question because of just corporate activity. So, but the question, yeah, becomes is can we get it offsite? Is there any legal reason why we didn't? And was there a reason that we stayed with the on-site server?
And I know that in the past that we've had meetings and Councilmember Trailer worked with our IT department on some of those questions. So we'll have to, I don't have those answers right now, but we'll get them.
Maybe may make sense during the budget process.
Absolutely.
But have them take a look at the cloud options and discuss what he sees as potential pitfalls. I mean, you run into a few things. The internet's down and you're down, but how often is the internet down? I don't remember. I don't remember the last time it was down.
Snowmageddon was not fun.
Snowmageddon.
Yeah, the snow mageddon.
That was for everyone.
Yep,
across
and
the-
payroll, getting payroll done and those types of things that we need to have to get done for our employees, but understandably.
Keeping that there. What's the next thing?
Um,
Oh,
another,
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
okay, another item that I'd like to bring to your consideration with the first budget draft would be to, we have a budget line item currently for code enforcement services on a contract basis, but that's not being used. And so I'd like to propose having some support for code enforcement services. Our complaints have significantly gone up, and right now that falls on me 100%, and I try my best to go out there, but it would be a good resource, I believe, to have some support.
I actually like that because what we're seeing is there's a lot of folks that are doing stuff that they're not supposed to do. Find out about it in grandfather when it's a happen. Right thing. I mean, we denied your request.
I've been working with some people, so I hope to have some quotes for you by the first budget draft.
You off the hook too, so that people are dropping at you constantly.
Just on a personal, or not personal note, but there's a significant number of development projects that are in the works. And, you know, we have the Hudson Ranch preliminary plat, we have Marty B's coffee shop that the pre-construction meeting is going, you know, full steam ahead. So there's significant projects that I would like to take the lead on, and you know, there's having support for the code enforcement would be very
No, it's more.
Oh, but if she doesn't do it.
It's not.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, 'cause again, this is
So you hire somebody
to potentially go around to it, but I mean, we've all got the areas where they're not known, where they're not. You know, I would love to see it be a little more proactive, and we all know where those areas are, but again, I think we've seen it. Several areas, there's been buildings that have been put up that shouldn't have been. I'm not talking about that, I mean, I'm not talking about. And then the next person. That same thing happened on my street. We get involved. So.
it can be on a reactive, so if typically they can be structured on a reactive basis. So if we get a complaint, the code enforcement officer could be there within 24 to 48 hours to assess the situation. Or we could put it on a schedule to have the person.
I would love to see a schedule just to go down and just keep an eye on, because you'll see the new construction, you'll see some good things that are going on. That kind of thing. You think the people that are doing the right thing are not getting to do stuff that other people just do it, and then it kind of is there, and then history says we're grandfathered.
Back to the company to do it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So
That
it's typically on an hourly basis, and however many hours are authorized or a not to exceed limit, we can work with that contractor to set up.
You know,
a
it's
preferred
typical
schedule.
for other towns?
Yes, it's
Like,
very typical,
okay.
especially for small
multiple
towns.
or,
Yes.
okay.
The independent contractors out there, they're just do just that.
Yes, so typically it's contractors who have a full-time job as a code enforcement officer for
Okay.
a
They're just doing
full-time
that on the side.
municipality. Yes, they're on salary, but they have a consulting business on the side,
Mhm.
and so they have the
You take
certifications.
someone that has some knowledge. about code
Absolutely.
enforcement, what
There's
can and can't
a
do.
set guidelines in state law for code enforcement officers. So they have to have
Okay.
specific training. They have to have specific guidelines, especially if they're going to be appointed. They'd have to be appointed the code enforcement officer, just like you appoint the building official and just like you make appointments. Then they'd have the authority to write citations. They'd have certain authorities and powers to do things. And you just can't pick somebody off the street. They have to be qualified. They have to have certain training. There's, again, like a little book I take home and read with me at night. It's all covered in there. So it's, they just don't. I'm telling you, I am.
Those are the two that come to mind on.
Yeah,
administrative.
it's something all, and it's not coming out of the general fund. We have money in the CIP. It's come up throughout the years. We've updated town hall. We've updated this room. We have these horrible folding tables. I don't know if you'd like I would like to bring a couple of prices again to get a real dais again that moves that we could use. But I know people love these folding tables, but I don't know if that's an option. I mean, it's in the money's in our CIP budget, but
Given the history on this has been, again, thought process of being a community room, but I don't know how much community. we've done.
this room has never been requested to be used as a community room, except it was about 2 weeks ago, we had the Flower Mound Garden Club wanted to see if they could use this for a meeting space.
So let's look at.
So
that.
since we've remodeled this room, we've had no ongoing request to use this as a meeting space.
There's some Dallas Cowboy games on out here on Sundays.
Really?
But the plans that we brought
Get it
forward
all
in the back,
official?
in the past, they roll, it moves, it would sit back. So there's plenty of room to still,
That's what I'll be up here in a circle.
it would still be
Are we
used.
comfortable with looking at it? So that we
Yeah.
can-
You could still then-
I'd like to see it, to see what that looks like.
I will tell you, when you walk into Argyle, when you walk into Dublin, when you walk into other stuff, you come back here.
No.
But, see what it
We
costs.
can bring, and the money's in the CIP budget, so it wouldn't be affecting your
Yeah, let's
general
see
fund
it.
budget.
I'm all for it.
I'd like to see another officer added in the budget too, so we can discuss that.
Yes, you have already addressed the signage, so you know that's already covered, right?
The signage
Signage,
for regarding,
Stop sign.
yes, so as Tammy indicated, we have plenty in our current budget if
He's
we
not a
needed to
sailor.
to
He's no
purchase more. And I believe the line item would be sufficient going into the next fiscal year too.
After doing the audit, there were a number of signs that aren't reflective that need replacing. So taking a look at that list and buying, we have signs that are back there. I think we only have one stop sign those to keep signs. So if one is taken down or one is, something happens to it or gets ran over, that we can replace them.
You have that?
So we'll go ahead and make sure that we have plenty of signs anyhow for replacement, but there's plenty in the current fiscal year budget.
COVID, we didn't spend a lot.
We really just, when you compare this year's budget to next year, we really just didn't do any spending because of, again, we didn't know what sales tax and all of that would do, so.
So Jacqueline mentioned another officer again. I am probably not at the same opinion as Superintendent, although what I did do is that actually go and talk to the Montana district, whatever the heck it is. See if we can get them.
We can bring a list of must-haves,
Happy
things that are mandated by law, things that we want to have and things that are nice to have. And then give the council, you can go through it.
But again, need a fully burdened rate on the officer, not salary, that is with everything to dress them, put them on the road. Process for, that will get so we fully burdened.
One of the things we'll be bringing forward on the next agenda, budget-wise, would be probably adding uniforms, is we're under the assumption that we could have reserve officers, and we don't have the council has to approve a reserve force. And we don't have an ordinance for a reserve force. And we had reserve officers in the past, and so with having a police officer that left, Bobby wanted to utilize him as a reserve officer, 16 hours, I think a month. And we're gonna bring that ordinance forward next month, so we have a policy, which is a great way to utilize.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah,
And
do that. I'd like
we
to hear
can't bring
about
him
that.
back until we have that policy in force, so.
Okay.
Fair enough. You're off the dime, so I
Yeah,
get it.
it's,
So yes, let's get. cleaned
yeah,
up.
it's she who goes, well, where does it say we can do that? And then, I just got to make sure if something happens and then TML coverage comes along and we just gotta make sure the town is covered and the reserve officers are covered. So
So we've had reserves,
in the past we have.
but we
and
didn't have one.
We didn't have the appropriate,
Is that why we ceased that? Or
that's why Officer Bell is not reserving right now,
gotcha.
but he can after the June
That's the
meeting.
ordinance.
But we'll bring that forward.
That's
That's
great.
something that in practice was done for a period of time.
So it was inadvertently
Same
not done
individual still in
correctly.
play? I'm sorry, it's the same individual still in play to be a reservist?
No,
No, it wasn't him.
officer. Interesting.
So to just kind of give we've gotten a preliminary warning, I guess, if you'd like to say, from the appraisal district that unfortunately our certified rolls are going to be late again. They've had a number of issues with their software and they've just had a number of issues. So we are working on it. I don't anticipate there being an issue in regards to our property tax rate. So our one of the tax rates is to one tax rate calculation will show what it will need to be in order to generate the same amount of revenue as the previous fiscal year. And then the voter approval tax rate is the one that allows up to 3.5% increase. Anything more, I believe, triggers an election. So we'll be working on getting those calculations in the coming days as we start to get that certified information from the appraisal district.
Say showing us the equal taxes, basically just say, hey, if we lower the tax rate down to this.
Not necessarily lowered or raised because it's influenced by both the tax rate, but also the appraisals. So if our tax rate can go down, but if appraisals go up, we still might collect more.
No, that's what I'm saying is we know everybody's property taxes are going up. I expect that they saw already, they can raise it a maximum of 10%. And lo and behold, my number is exactly 10%. So the question is we're generating a lot more revenue from commercial. So I would like to know what would be if we kept the same dollars coming in. So if we collected $200,000 for property taxes today, what would that do if we said we wanted to collect $200,000? It's coming in. It sounds like that would probably be a 10% cut. High level math.
Well, that comes in when they do the calculations. It'll show you how much you need and what the tax rates are. It's all part of the new truth and taxation laws and those calculations.
There's. Yes.
you do.
Yeah, so the
Well,
effective tax rate is the tax rate that you would need to bring in the exact same collection of revenues that you did the preceding year. And our tax rate for this existing fiscal year was lower for both the effective tax rate and obviously the voter approval tax rate. I believe the formula was 0.21 cents to the $100 valuation, and we're at 0.19. So that's why I don't think that we'll have an issue with maintaining our current property tax rate.
We have a tendency to like to say we're one of the lowest tax rates in this part of Texas, but we roll in.
That's,
Now it's called the no new revenue rate. It's no longer called the effective. They do it all new names.
it's the same
Just to
thing.
make us feel better.
Right.
Yeah. All these new calculations.
Yeah.
I need 75 to return. My apologies again.
Thanks for joining us.
It was an inconvenience. I should know for you, Bridget.
I know.
There is no inconvenience.
Why, thank you.